Salute, 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 ATP. It's your boy Claymore Rain. What's good, man? Salute to all my subscribers. If this is your first time tapping into this content, I invite you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit your bell icon so you're getting all your alerts when that content drops. So Ryan Garcia hits Twitter today and says, well, let's put it up, right? Let's not go off memory. Let's just bring it up here. You know what I mean? And let's see what Ryan Garcia has to say. Basically on the post, it says, "We got him, boys. It's over. Everyone's getting sued." So he seems pretty confident to post this up today. Basically referring to a technical standpoint on the New York State Athletic Commission's provisions, and the rules and regulations that they go by in order for them to administer any type of disciplinary action to an athlete that's competed underneath their jurisdiction, right? So if you guys don't know, you know now by now. If you don't know by now, VADA and WADA are third-party testing facilities, right? Specifically WADA. VADA collects the results, collects the results and collects the specimens and gets them over to WADA, where WADA will process and give VADA the results, and VADA communicates to the fighter what the results are. So bottom line is, to keep it very simple, is they're a third-party testing organization. So that's going to have some significance in this. And what we're going to do is we're going to read down this little article right here about what Ryan Garcia and his team, his legal team, is basically trying to enforce, and potentially put Ryan Garcia in a position to be technically not able to be held accountable or to be given any type of disciplinary action based on a technical part of this whole entire process. Now, we know that the A sample came in positive, and most people are pretty sure and understand that most of the time the B sample is going to come in the same way as the A sample. So this is not about as to whether or not he's going to be proven innocent or not, but as much as we're going to have to see if the New York State Athletic Commission is in a position to go ahead and give him any type of disciplinary action. So let's read it together, guys, and let's see what we can come up with. So right here at the top, it says, "The New York State Athletic Commission explicitly requires in its regulations that they themselves must perform the collection and testing of urine samples," right? And then it goes on to say that any test result obtained from a third-party testing would not automatically be considered valid or admissible for New York State Athletic Commission official adjudication process, unless, and this is going to be the part that people are going to hang their hat on and try to figure out what this means, because there is clearly a scenario where a third-party test result is admissible in this scenario. But let's continue to read and see if it sheds any light on that. It basically says, unless their regulations specifically allow for such third-party testing results to be used. Specifically is going to be an important word here, because this is not something that they can do at their own leisure or when they feel like it. This has to be specifically written and showing up in their regulations to say that they can do this, right? So let's move forward. It says, fact: if the New York State Athletic Commission rules explicitly state that they must perform their own testing and do not mention or allow for reliance on a third-party testing, then the third-party results are not valid for official disciplinary actions or adjudication under a New York State Athletic Commission rule. This is the most accurate position, based that the New York State Athletic Commission must adhere strictly to their own regulatory framework. So basically it says you can't go outside of the parameters of your own framework of what you put out there, because the agreement that the fighter understands and that the legal team of the fighter understands is going to be based on what you've given them as how you plan on processing and how you do process testing and how you're going to hold somebody accountable. So you can't in the last minute go outside of those regulations to fit your own narrative, right? That's what that is basically saying. Now let's go ahead and move forward. It says the confusion might arise when discussing practical and emergency scenarios where the New York State Athletic Commission might need to consider the third-party result, especially in cases where their own processes were flawed or not conducted. That's interesting. I think that's a real interesting part here, because basically he's saying that outside of a practical or an emergency scenario where the New York State Athletic Commission might need to consider the third party result, especially in the cases where their own processes were flawed and not conducted. Ultimately meaning that either the urine that they collected was contaminated or compromised, or the test just wasn't done, right? If the test wasn't done, confusion might arise when discussing the practical in these emergency scenarios where the New York State Athletic Commission checks these boxes, right? Now it says, however, for these results to be officially recognized, in other words, the third-party results to be officially recognized, the New York State Athletic Commission would need to have provisions within their rules that allow for such instances. Then it puts a comment and says they do not. So basically saying that the only way they'd be able to use that third-party test result is that somewhere there was provisions inside of their rules allowing them to do that for an instance like that. And it seems like if you read this on face value, it looks like it's saying that they don't have a provision set up for that. So if they don't have a provision set up for that, it's going to make it difficult for the New York State Athletic Commission to use any of the samples from WADA to in a case to hold Ryan Garcia accountable, or give him some disciplinary action in reference to having a PED substance inside of his urinalysis. Now, here are the implications of not performing their own collection and testing. Here are the implications. Let's scroll down here. It says legal challenges. This is probably what Ryan Garcia's team is very interested in, right? Because this is where Ryan Garcia is going to find his defense in this situation outside of, because let's be honest, the A sample has already been tested and already shown positive on what it's on the ostarine. Everybody's expecting the B sample to come in and probably say the same exact thing. So this is not about proving his innocence as far as him betting on. He has to go beyond betting on his ability to come in negative, because he's got to be pretty sure that that B sample is going to come in positive, just like the A sample did. At this point, he's trying to get into the technical aspect of New York State. He's trying to save himself from being suspended, right? Being held accountable, fined, losing money, things of that nature. He's just trying to technically get up out the way of any disciplinary action so he can move on with his career and go ahead and fight Errol Spence or Sebastian Fundora or David Benavidez or whoever he decides he wants to fight, right? So let's continue to read here. Legal challenges. Okay, it says athletes or their representatives might legally challenge any disciplinary action based on a test not conducted directly by the New York State Athletic Commission, especially if the rules do not permit reliance on third-party results, right? So it says especially, right? They can do it anyway, but especially if those boxes get checked. Now, the validity of the results, right? This is about the third-party results. How valid will they be in this process? Let's see what they say on that. It says any results obtained from a third-party testing would not typically be admissible in the disciplinary proceedings. Now, once again, another powerful word in this thing, typically. What does that mean? It means most of the time, if you ask me, right? Typically means most of the time, right? It wouldn't be admissible in the disciplinary proceedings if the New York State Athletic Commission rules require that they perform the test themselves. Now, this could complicate any enforcement actions against athletes. Typically is a powerful word, though. So is this a typical situation, or is this one of those exceptions to the rules that they're talking about? The whole emergency scenarios, the practical emergency scenarios. Does this fall underneath that, or is this a typical situation? If it's typical, it doesn't look good as far as from the New York State Athletic Commission on their ability to use that third-party result. But if this is not typical, if this is unique in its own way, then we might be talking about something different. But let's continue to read, right? It says reputational damage. Failure to follow its own rules can undermine the New York State Athletic Commission's credibility. It gets sensitive when you're talking about damaging the credibility of a huge organization like the New York State Athletic Commission. So it gets sensitive, right? This is where it starts to get real sensitive and kind of weird, because this is where the politics of the business can show its ugly face and come up on a good side for Ryan Garcia, right? So what does it say here? It says failure to follow its own rules can undermine the New York State Athletic Commission's credibility and authority as a regulatory body, potentially leading to the broader question about its efficacy, what its efficiency and reliability. So basically saying that if they were to stray away from their own rules and regulations for future situations in the space, it would damage their credibility for future scenarios that they might get in with other fighters, right? I think something's interesting with the fact that about a few weeks ago, the head of the New York State Athletic Commission resigned. Why did they resign? I don't know why. I heard it was something to do with taking care of a parent, or whatever have you. But a lot of times when you see these resignations out of the blue, when it doesn't make any sense, there's usually something down the line. If that person stays around, that he probably end up fired, right? Or some sort of disagreement with some sort of policy enforcement. Either way, it's kind of weird the way that dropped. And, I'm hearing that there's a good chance that the New York State Athletic Commission didn't collect any urine sample. And if they didn't, and it was their responsibility to do with it, then some heads might roll, right? So that might align with what we're looking at as far as somebody resigning from the New York State Athletic Commission. I'm just speculating. Don't know if that's what it is, but just kind of like putting some perspective on this part of the text here, right? Now let's sum it up, right? To sum it up, it basically says that the New York State Athletic Commission regulations do not allow for third-party testing results. That's what it comes down to, and then those results are not valid for the New York State Athletic Commission's disciplinary action or adjudication. They're basically saying at the end of the day, that third-party test, which would be WADA's test results, is just not eligible to be or admissible in this case against Ryan Garcia. Any deviation from this would require explicit provisions within the New York State Athletic Commission regulations to their rules. So anything that any deviation from this rule, it would have to show within the text of the regulations as to the scenario that checks the boxes to allow them to enforce or to make a third party's results admissible. And then it goes in and kind of shows, let's go ahead and hit play here. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger here so we can get to that part specifically. I can read that part as well. All right. It says the use of illicit substances and performance-enhancing drugs present a grave and growing threat to the integrity of athletic competition within the combat sports industry. The commission is in the process of formulating a comprehensive drug testing policy for combat athletes who fight under the jurisdiction of the New York State Athletic Commission. Currently, all combatants fighting in the state undergo mandatory urine testing for examination of prohibited substances. Now, Ryan Garcia and his team have highlighted this specific area right here, and let's see why they did it. Why is this significant? Why is it significant to highlight this area? They want us to pay attention to this part here, so let's look at it closely. It says the urine testing is performed by the commission by the commission at the combat sports event under the supervision of an appointed inspector. Combatants are not permitted to glove up until the required urine collection is completed. So it looks like, if I was to read this on face value, it looks like the New York State Athletic Commission has a duty, an obligation to collect the urine test via their own entire facility, and it has to be under the supervision of one of their appointed inspectors. And the combatants, being Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, are not even permitted to glove up until the required urine collection is completed. So they're required to do this. So if they haven't done this may be a technical reason as to why Ryan Garcia may get off of this, and also may be aligned with why somebody might have resigned at the commission, right? And I'll just read the rest to say a combatant who violates the commission's policy on banned substances may be subject to fines, suspensions, revocations of license, permit, forfeiture of his or her person, may have to result of a contest change to a no contest, right? So this is what happens in the case of a hot test that the New York State Athletic Commission has collected. So what do we learn here today, right? What we learned here is that even though there's a situation here where I think two things can coexist at the same time, right? We've got one situation here where Ryan Garcia has clearly came in positive on a PED substance, on a banned substance in ostarine in his system. On the other hand, we have those results from a third party being WADA. That's WADA, not VADA, VADA, right? So that third party facility has stated that on May 22nd, they're going to be releasing the results of a B specimen of the, they already tested the A on the B1 they're going to release the results on it as per request of Ryan Garcia and his team. Now, I don't know if the New York State Athletic Commission is waiting on WADA to go ahead and release that information on that B sample. We haven't gotten any information and haven't heard anything about it. So realistically, at the end of the day, it looks like there's a potential opportunity for Ryan Garcia to escape any type of disciplinary action based on the technicality that New York State might have dropped the ball and didn't test Ryan Garcia on the 19th or the 20th. We'll see how things pan out. We'll see what it looks like. You guys tell me in the comments what you think about the information we went over there. Maybe some of my subscribers or followers can put some perspective on it. If we got any lawyers in the community that can put some perspective on a text that I wrote here. And how legitimate is this? And if it is legitimate, what does it look like for Ryan Garcia? It looks like he's going to be free and clear, and able to go ahead and move forward with his career. And also, it looks like Devin Haney's not going to get an opportunity to go ahead and get that loss taken off of his record. I heard earlier today that he's already gathered his law team and he's trying to get the loss removed from his record. This right here can pose an issue on that. We got to see how it turns out. But go ahead, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Go ahead and leave a comment on the video. Oh yeah, make sure you hit your bell icon so you're getting alerts when all this content is dropping. It's the ATP Combat Media Show, guys. It's your boy Rain, and at this point, we out.